Hey everybody, Shoebox Legends here. Thanks for joining me for a little bit of a scattershot episode today. Honestly, just felt like turning on the camera, grabbing a few baseball cards, showing them off and talking about them, which is what I do a lot of the time, but there's really no structure to this at all. There's not a common theme here or anything. This is all baseball. There's some vintage and some modern, and I think some cards that hopefully some of you will just appreciate. So I'm very glad that you stopped by to check the video out, and let's just get into the stack here. So we're going to start with a couple cards that I've owned for a while, but I kind of rediscovered recently. Was doing a guest appearance on another YouTube channel, and so I was rooting through some boxes, trying to find some cards for that, and stumbled across this one. This is somebody that I've talked about recently. I think I pulled one of his cards in a rummage. I was doing Gene Conley, pitcher for the Milwaukee Braves here in this case. Very, very awesome story if you're not aware of his backstory, but he was a two-sport star, pitched for the Braves, as you can see here. And by the way, this is a great photograph of Gene signing for some young fans, one of whom is on crutches. Just love it. Awesome photo. This is from a Wisconsin World Series set. But not only was he a pitcher for the Braves, he played basketball for the Boston Celtics as well. And he has the distinction of having won a World Series in Major League Baseball with Milwaukee, and also multiple, actually, NBA championships with the Celtics. He was like a teammate of Bill Russell. So this guy got to play alongside Bill Russell on the Celtics in the early 60s, winning championships. And he was also a star baseball pitcher who won a World Series. So I just think that is beyond cool. I think the image on this is awesome. I have quite a bit of his like normal Topps, playing era cards because they're dirt cheap. But this is one that I had found on ComC a long while back, and just had to pick it up. Cost nothing, and I think he's just a remarkable player when you consider that. I don't think that's something we'll ever see again in the era of modern sports that we're living in here. Next up, recently sold off my 1958 Topps All-Star subset, all in graded format. I did a video about that a short while back. It was bittersweet, but I got a good chunk of change back to reinvest into the hobby, and I mentioned that those cards just weren't bringing me joy. Well, I had kind of forgotten this, but going through the same boxes for this episode that I was doing where I found that Gene Conley, I also ran across this small stack. And so even though I got rid of the graded copies, I do have some of the kind of common, lesser known players raw, just a handful, but here's Johnny Temple. And I mentioned, that I don't need a graded Johnny Temple card in that video where I kind of covered my dissolving and selling of this set. So yeah, this would be like as good of a Johnny Temple 58 as I would ever need. I don't even really feel like I need a copy of this card per se, but if I am going to have one, I certainly won't turn it down. This is just fine for me, so that's great. And then alongside him, I had some others that are in a little bit worse shape. Here's a well-worn Frank Malzone, and most of a Jackie Jensen card. I think I got these two in the care package many years back. Upper right corner is missing on the Jensen. Frank Malzone's a little bit worn as well, but like these are cards that I wasn't even planning on replacing when I sold the graded set. So it was kind of just I was pleased to find these in the box, and not something I would go out and spend money on right now. But since I already have them, it was a pleasant discovery, or rediscovery, I should say. Also found in pretty good shape and about as off-centered as my graded copy was, believe it or not, Earl Bailey and Bob Friend for the Pirates. So, I mean, yeah, just like that. Got 5 of these back anyway. They're not really players I would have chased down, and I do want to rebuy, I think, Mantle and maybe one other in just a condition that's more in line with how I collect these days. But those were a nice kind of small bonus to stumble across shortly after that sale. We're going to jump ahead now to the 80s for a minute. And this is a crazy awesome, it's not expensive, but it's a box topper card from the mid-80s. And I don't think I've ever shown it on the channel, even though it's one of my favorite cards from that decade. The 1985 Donruss box bottom Dwight Gooden. Look at that photo. So cool. Kind of reminds me of like the 72 Clemente where he's throwing the ball up to himself in the air. It has a little bit of a little bit of that to it. But just a killer photograph. Like amazing. So much better in my mind than the photo that's on his actual base card in 85 Donruss. Just really dig this. And yeah, obviously 85 was his year. He had won the Rookie of the year prior, and 85, he returned to form in his second season and actually won the Cy Young Award. So, I mean, to start his career with a Rookie of the Year and then a Cy Young Award back-to-back was easy to see why, at the time, he was like the talk of the baseball world. And even though things didn't go the way that he would have predicted probably after that 85 campaign, he's still just a really cool figure in sports history. And even more so than that, just the aesthetics of this card are just absolutely amazing. So always loved that Dwight Gooden. And, you can still find one of those for like $10, maybe even less if you don't, mind having a beater. And then got just a couple more here. So found this 72 card with a great shot here featuring Manny Sanguin and his teammates celebrating after the 71 World Series, which was, of course, won by the Pittsburgh Pirates, and got me to thinking of other moments or World Series winning moments on cardboard, just something I've been really considering lately. And, of course, I turned my thoughts to my hometown team, the Boston Red Sox. And, their last World Series championship came in 2018. That was a very special World Series to me for some reasons that I won't get into in today's video, but very memorable and a sporting event that I hold near and dear to my heart for sentimental reasons. And I don't know why I hadn't thought of it sooner, but in the 2019 Topps release, there's a pretty awesome card that is actually dedicated to the final out of that 2018 World Series. So check this out. This is the Sweet Victory card from 2019 Topps. Got Christian Vasquez leaping into the arms of Chris Sale in celebration and jubilation after the final out of that epic 2018 World Series. So really, really cool. This particular version is like the foil board, hobby foil board version, numbered out of 162. I got copy 130. Nobody really cares about these cards, quite honestly, in terms of value. So because of that, it's a really fun card to build a rainbow of. It's my favorite kind of card in the sense that it has a sentimental tie for me and is linked to a really positive memory that I have from my life. So that makes it really special. And, considering these are dirt cheap, I'm not going to go nuts and try to get every one, but I built kind of a fun little mini rainbow, or I have one going anyway. So I have this, as I said, foil board, hobby foil board. This was like $3 with free shipping on eBay. Let me prop this one up in the background because that has some really nice shine to it if you get it just right. And then I have two other copies of that one that I've picked up. So I also managed to find this, which is the vintage stock parallel. And you can tell because it has the retro Topps design in the foil. And then also the back it's numbered out of 99, and you can't tell here in the top loader, but the texture on the back of the card is more that standard cardboard that we grew up with. It doesn't have that glossy feel. It's a little bit rougher. So that's the vintage stock parallel. Same card there. And this was $6 on a best offer. So you got to love that as a Red Sox fan. And then the third and final one, I do have a couple others, I think, on the way, but found one of my favorite parallels, the Topps Black, which are not easy to pull. They're scarce in terms of their serial numbering. So just 67 of these were made, and got this copy for just under $10 with, I think, 99-cent shipping. So honestly, for the three of these, the foil board, the vintage stock, and the Topps Black, looking at about $20 shipped to my door. So a fun little collection starting there of a moment that I really hold near and dear. And on that note, there's another card. I recently did a guest appearance where this was the topic of the show, collecting moments, and showed this one briefly, but I didn't have a chance to show it here on this channel. So here it is. This is a recent pickup that I'm really happy with. Cal Ripken Jr. from 2022 Topps Update. It is the short print retired legend variation. And of course, this is the night that he broke the streak, broke Lou Gehrig's consecutive games played record, September of 95. I remember it like it was yesterday. occurred just a few days after my 13th birthday. So I was at a very impressionable age as a baseball fan and a collector, and it just left such an imprint on my mind. I was already a Ripken fan prior to that. I think just because I had his rookie card growing up, and his rookie year was my birth year, 1982. So I was already kind of gravitating towards him and had collected him throughout the 90s. But that night was magical. I still remember watching it in the living room of my parents' house in Connecticut with my dad. My brothers were there, and just one of those moments where you just remember where you were as a sports fan. And I just think getting that moment and that game commemorated on cardboard, this is a fantastic job here by Topps. A great photo of Cal sitting in the rear of the Orioles orange Corvette here and just being driven around the field and soaking up the praise from the Baltimore faithful. So I've really been seemingly kind of, I don't know, intentionally or not, making quite a dent in picking up some Ripken cards of late, just cheap ones, nothing crazy. But that's definitely one of my favorites that I've picked up and snagged that for under $20 shipped. So really pleased with that. Kind of a quirky and unique Ripken. And that is the final card that I had to show off today. So I appreciate you swinging by for this little baseball rummage. Hope you're enjoying the Major League season so far. And as always, I'll be back in the very near future with some more sports card content. Take care and talk to you guys soon.